We're going live in 30 seconds, everyone. Great. Well, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a nice lunch, and thanks for Julie, who's connecting online. I'll introduce her in a second. May I invite our jury members to join us on the stage, or maybe in a second. Take your time. I'll just go through the introduction first. So welcome to the finals of the second category under the Global Development Awards Competition 2024. Which is the most innovative development project category. This is a bit of an unusual category for GDN programs because we are calling for projects from NGOs, right? So these are not research projects. These are actually development implementation projects. This is the only program that GDN runs where the grantee is actually an NGO that is implementing a project. But we'll go into that in a second. For those who were with us yesterday for the Outstanding Research and Development finals, you've heard a lot of what I'm going to say, so bear with me. I'll try to make it quick. The Global Development Awards Competition is one of the It's the actual largest and longest standing program at the Global Development Network. We're very proud of the continuous support from the Ministry of Finance of the government of Japan throughout, since 2000. So it's basically 25 years, a quarter of a century. This funding is, of course, gets to us through the Policy and Human Resource Development Fund, PHRD, managed by the World Bank. And we're also grateful for the continuous support in managing this program. Over the years, we funded around $4 million US dollars in both research and projects. So today the category is really on the project implementation side of things. We know that implementation takes sometimes longer for research. So actually these are slightly longer grants. So between 12 and 24 months. And even more than that, we have a follow-up grant in this program that allows one project among those selected today in roughly 18 months from now to apply for a scale-up grant, right? So actually two of the projects that will be, the way this competition works, that we have two first prize winners, ex aequo basically. So these are two projects that have a chance to implement their idea with $50,000 each. And then there's a second prize of $25,000. The two first prize winners then will compete for a scale-up grant of up to $200,000, which is actually, as a matter of fact, GDN's largest grant historically. Now, as for the ORD, the Outstanding Research and Development, the selection process for the most innovative development project is much more than just selection to then an award, a financial award, right? We really use the selection process to give feedback. So there are webinars for the applicants. There's again, these finalists have participated in a comms training in the days running up to the conference here in Suva, so they have the best possible chance to present the project. Once they are, if and when they're awarded, they're actually paired with technical advisors. Somebody independent that will accompany them throughout the implementation, discussing with them the kind of choices they need to make during the implementation. As I mentioned yesterday, we introduced also another follow-up grant, which is called Connector Grant, which allows the winners of the MIDP grant to collaborate with the winners of the ORD grant. So the NGOs collaborating with the researchers. The theme for this year, for the MIDP competition, is the nexus of education, development, and human security. You must have seen this in all the communications we've been sending around. I will not go through the theme. It's on the screen, and you can find more information, of course, on our website if you are completely new to this year's call. So as for the ORD, we have multiple steps of selection. Right? For the MIDP, it's even more complex than for the ORD. We have, of course, an eligibility screening in-house. And we have a desk review of the projects, a business review which looks into the way into the institution, into the NGO where they're actually competing. And we have due diligence, right? Proportional to what they are proposing to do. And there's a final screening that actually happens within the World Bank itself to make sure that the projects are aligned with the environmental safeguards of the bank. Now, part of this project happens in-house, the first step. Then other steps are actually outsourced to somebody that actually is able to travel to the places, that does that as a job and helps, gives us, their review of the organization, for example. And of course, the last bit is done within the World Bank itself. What are we looking for? We're looking for projects that can inspire new ways, different ways of doing development to benefit the most marginalized communities in the country, in the location where they operate. So when we review these projects, we're of course looking at the innovative kind of potential of the approach, which, by the way, has to be already running. So these are not completely new projects. These are projects that must be running already. Right? We look at the clarity of the development objectives and the structure in terms of a link between objectives, activities, and results that are proposed. We look at the vision for impact, particularly to benefit the most marginalized communities in the locations where the projects are implemented. We look at the potential for expansion and scaling up. We look at how the organization thinks about risks and how they propose to manage risks. We look at how they manage financial and human resources within the project and within their organization overall. We look at the transparency and accountability of their operations. And of course, the last step is the safeguards. The jury for the MIDP 2024 has 4 members. So we have Shanta Devarajan, who is a professor of practice of the development at Georgetown University and the chair of GDN's board currently. We have Jean-Louis Arcon, who is our president. Most of you are in the room have had multiple opportunities to meet with him and hear him during these 2 days. We have joining us online, Julie Biao, who's operation officer at the World Bank and our very valuable counterpart at the bank for this project. Thank you for joining us at an odd hour for you. And then we have Selim Rehman, who's of course our board member, but also a professor of the Department of Economics at University of Dhaka in Bangladesh, and the executive director of the South Asian Network on Economic Modeling, known as SANEM. The jury will assess the projects, as of course had access to the project, and will assess the projects based on these criteria: innovativeness, the clarity, again, as I said, between the logic between objective activities and results, the promise for social impact, the potential for expansion, replicability, scalability, however defined by the organization itself, the feasibility, and we go back to all the management of finances and teams, etc. And finally, the quality of the presentation. And this is something that the today live during the presentation. We have 3 finalists today. 1 finalist for the Philippines, 1 finalist for Ghana, and 1 finalist for Uganda. So we're not talking about just individuals, right? We're talking about organizations. So the people who are representing the projects, or presenting the projects are also representing their own organization. And it's the organization that applies for the award. For the Philippines, we have the organization is called Alternative Indigenous Development Foundation. And the project is titled Cultivating Climate Resilient Communities by Pumping Water Uphill. Then we have the project from Ghana by AcoFresh, and the project is titled Nature-Based Climate Adaptation Project. And then we have a third project by Moyo District Farmers Association in Uganda, titled Solar-Powered Refrigerated Storage to Reduce Food Loss and Waste. I'll stop here, and I think our jury is on the stage and online. I think we can start with the presentations. Let me, just a second, so I don't get the order wrong. So we'll start. No, actually, Jean-Louis, do you want to say anything? No? Okay, perfect. Let's start with Auke Idenga from IDP. The project is Cultivating Climate Resilient Communities by Pumping Water Uphill. The floor is yours. You have 50 minutes like we did yesterday, and then we'll have 10 minutes for Q&A.
Is it working? Yes. Okay, I'll start now. Good afternoon to all of us, especially also the judges. My presentation is about, or shall I use the microphone? The presentation is about cultivating climate resilient communities through pumping water uphill, and this is done through a water-powered pump and packaged in a holistic program. I'll do it here. I'm Auke Idenga. I'm the co-founder and CEO of 8V, a Philippine social enterprise engaged in the manufacturing and installation of low-cost technologies for the poorest of the poor. And our flagship technology is the hydraulic ram pump, of which we have a miniature outside. And this operates on the energy contained in falling water. It doesn't use any electricity or fuel, and it doesn't emit greenhouse gases. Or shall I use the microphone? So there are a little bit information about problems in the Philippines, but I think Fiji can and other Pacific islands can find themselves in this. There are thousands, in the Philippines, still thousands of upland villages, and especially also farms, which are waterless. There are around 20 million. There are not good data in the Philippines about that, but we found out there are around 20 million people in the mountains, of which 10 million have no easy access to water. Then the poverty incident rate is very high. In the research we did, our beneficiaries are getting 3,000 to 4,000 pesos a month. That doesn't say you much, but if you know that the poverty line is 12,000 pesos, they are very much below. No? So we consider them the poorest of the poor. Our vision is a society where technology exists in harmony with nature and serves as a foundation of growth and sustainable development, where people share and live in abundance and happiness, and where peace and freedom, and there is peace and freedom and equity. And we also would like to replicate that to be the vision of the water associations we organize. I am a little bit compressing because I'm talking both this waterless problem is both about drinking and about agriculture, because most of the farms are rain-fed. So in terms of household, there are many issues related. This morning, this was told by the professor. There are a lot of health issues on skin diseases, waterborne diseases, also spinal problems from water carrying, lack of sanitation, many have no toilet, loss of time and money, people pay money for fetching. This is about children skipping classes because they are the ones to be asked to bring water up in the morning. There's nothing in the house. And sometimes they go to school without taking a bath and they are being bullied. We heard it many times. Then they have to do the laundry away from the houses. And for them, there are, of course, no opportunity to grow vegetables or raise any animals. Then on the side of the farming, before most farms, upland farms, had one crop, but with the changing climate, it's no longer certain. And also you have sudden droughts and prolonged droughts. So mostly it's only one crop, but farming has become much riskier. So no second crop and no opportunity to diversify. This results in kids migrating to because the farm is no longer attractive, of course. So they migrate to the cities, and that threatens the food security. Average age of the farmers in the Philippines is over 50, 54. A little bit of situation of a typical village. This was installed here in 2012. Then they received our technology, about which I will be telling more. Maria was telling about a father and a daughter in the village. They had to fetch water. It's 180 meters below their village. And halfway, the rocks were coming down and it buried the child. And he tried, of course, to rescue his daughter, but his legs are totally damaged. But this kind of stories, it's a dramatic one, but many of those stories we hear about this kind of villages. It's nearly 20,000 liters now with the ram pump being delivered in the village to 92 families. And it's being pumped up on a 24 hours basis, 180 meters high. So our solution to that problem of having water sources down and waterless communities or farms is the hydraulic ram pump. I already said it's a water-powered pump. It uses no electricity, no fuel, no emission of greenhouse gases. It uses the energy contained in falling water. It operates 24/7 and it is completely brought under the control of the beneficiaries because it's locally manufactured based on local skills and on local spare parts. Actually, the main spare part is an ordinary door hinge, which the people can anywhere in a far-flung area can get hold of. It's a very old technology, but yeah, even here many have not heard about it. You had the imported ones. This was swept away, this technology, by the Industrial Revolution. Those are very expensive if you want to order one. Then you have to do it yourself from the internet. Those are inferior and only good for a household. We created a model which is very sturdy based on local materials, local skills. And like I said, the spare part is just an ordinary door hinge. This is a typical village. Sometimes we have to divert the water. Sometimes we bring it directly to the ram pump. We protect the water source with a concrete structure. Then we pump it up to the highest point in the village, to a reservoir. And from there, we distribute it to clusters of households, mostly 10 to 15 households. I will be telling a little bit more about that, but we have now water kiosk. In the photo this morning from Australia, you saw a tap stand, but they had many problems, she said, also about collecting of fees. And that was the same true for us. So we developed a water kiosk which runs on a coin. It's a mechanical one. Our program is holistic, so a lot of time is being spent on the social preparation, so organizing legal documents, formation of water association, arrange the participation of the beneficiaries so that they feel the ownership over it in the hauling and the delivery of materials. Also, some are involved in the construction. Then the technical team we select local villagers who are being trained as local technicians, and they are really like a buddy to our installers who speak the same language because they are also people from the ground. Then we monitor the systems. We have developed a mobile app. Before we only monitored the data, operational data, but very lately, about which I'm very excited, we have an impact data app, and I will see show some results of that. We also do after support after the installation is finished. So that depends. We have 600 installations, so it's very hard to do that physically. So we do that also by mobile app, and only if there is a request for that. The social preparation is very important because the problems are mostly not technical. Even it's technical, but mostly a community problem. We developed a lot of innovations around the pump to make it even more sustainable. So one is the water kiosk. So people put 1 coin in it, get a container of 20 liters of water, and the money goes back to the association. And compared to the tap stands before, we had the income of the association has increased by 3 to 4 times. That's what they have seen from 200 of those. Then the mobile phone application. We also provide individual household filters. We don't do centralized filtration because that is very costly, because basically you only need to filter the drinking water. Then we developed recycled parts from Coca-Cola cups. They are more sturdier and cheaper. So our purpose is not, our goal is not just to bring in water and provide immediate benefits, which I will show later on, but actually the whole idea is through the empowered water associations, mostly women-led by 70%, is that more development is being triggered and that they carry the project, they are empowered, they know how to lobby for projects. So you see electricity coming in, you see sometimes that they lobby for a road. You have the participation again of the elderly because there is an organization. There is also an old system, a traditional system, which is getting lost of cooperation. You have that in many countries. We call that care and cooperation. It's revived through this water association. So many people volunteer. So here you see a lot of things which are actually over time happening and in different speed in different associations. It results in less migration of the kids because the whole community becomes more lively. Also, the farming, because of the water, becomes attractive. And so it also helps in food security. These are the particular impacts on the household level. So for drinking, it reverses the problem I was presenting. Now, skin diseases mostly disappear if they are water-related. Waterborne diseases completely disappear because of the filter. Spinal problems because of less carrying of containers. So no more time and money lost for fetching. Laundry can now be done near the houses, improved health and sanitation. Many houses are building immediately a toilet from their own money. Then what I forgot to say was that the water being brought up is now increased by 10 times. So mostly from 40 liters per day they had before, it is 400 liters. They also start growing vegetables and raising animals. Then on the farms, you see an increased production. So the crop I was talking about that it is risky, it can now survive. They also can have a second crop, or they can diversify with high-value crops. So yeah, more people, young people are attractive to it because it's an innovative technology. And then less migration to the cities, and the income of the farmers increased by at least 2 to 3 times. For the environment, there is less destructive environmental activities like illegal logging, especially in dry season that now disappears, and less charcoal making. So we call that always communities in harmony with nature, but also with people, of course. The numbers over the years, it's not easy because we are in very far-flung areas. It's 600 villages where we provided easy access to an increased volume of water. 300,000 people have already benefited. I said 70% of the officers of our water stations are women. They are very active because this morning it was also said, like women have to carry all the daily activities related to water. And I was also shocked, not shocked, but impressed myself by the number of liters over all those years and all those installations which we already have delivered to a higher elevation, which is 54 billion liters of water. Here are some samples. We could dream the benefits from all those projects. If you would wake me up or any of my colleagues, then we can tell you all these benefits which I explained earlier. But we never had it scientifically backed up, and we just did that lately. And this is an installation, it's just a sample. We do that through M-Water. This is in 2020, was the installation. And we did a baseline study. And 6 months later, you can see the huge results. So I knew, but I never knew that it was that fast. So yeah, you see the water, of course, the consumption is increased. They have more water. The monthly income of the association was explained through the water kiosk. The households, which immediately starts building toilets. So there's increase of toilets. The increase of households, growing vegetables and raising animals, so also the yields increases. And this is the opposite, it's decreasing, but it's still positive, no? It's a positive decrease. Then skin diseases and diarrhea cases in that village immediately completely disappeared. There were like 10 cases before. The hours they spent, people spent 1 to 1.5 hours or even more per day in fetching. And now it's only like 10 minutes that they get it from the water kiosk. So, and the cost of many were also buying, or they had the water delivered, for example, by motorcycle. So they paid for that. That now is no longer necessary. And then you see also the ones who were in charge of collecting the water. The elderly and the kids are hardly there anymore. And then you see also the decrease in that village is from 10 families who were involved in charcoal making already to 3. This is only a period of 6 months. We do also impact gathering after 12 months. And it depends on what the funder, for example, wants, then we can do longer monitoring. We train the associations. They get a mobile phone, they sign a contract for it. It is just one mobile phone. And they do this monitoring with the guidance from our community facilitators. But as last, I would like to say it's not just a technical intervention, but it has to be very well with in the ownership of the people, so that they carry it, and then with the only backstopping from our organization. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think you can stay there.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Just for the questions.
I've just requested if the question can be one by one, otherwise I can't absorb. Sorry.
So one by one. Who wants to start? I mean, Julie's online. Otherwise, Julie, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, and really fascinating presentation. Thanks a lot. So yes, I'm Julie. I'll introduce myself while I have the floor. I work at the World Bank. I manage the PHRD trust fund that through which the government of Japan is financing the GDAC awards. So here, I guess my main question was whether, in terms of the longer term sustainability, whether the water groups, the community groups, have training on preventive maintenance, or what kind, because after 12 months, if things break, to what extent people are trained to repair on their own, and also, is there any way that the quality of the water is tested, or any risk that the waterborne diseases could still be present after the filtering? I realize that regardless, it's still an improvement. It's the but in terms of the quality of the water. Thank you.
Yes, I said it may be short in the presentation, but the village selects at least two villagers to be appointed as technician. They get also a T-shirt with the name technician at the back. They are very proud of it. And people have a lot of knowledge actually in the village. It's not so complicated, but they are being trained, and through the installation, they are completely side by side. I said body system. They are there during the whole installation. No secrets are kept. Also the tuning of the pump, how you can lower the volume and bring it higher up. It's nice at the moment, because while I'm here, we have water summits going on our office, not in an expensive hotel, but in our office. We have a big shop, and we have 10 associations per batch, and we are doing 10 water summits, and the technicians are there, and we put them in the room with our technicians. They make gaskets and change hinges, etc., because sometimes there are changes in technicians. And so, yeah, they are very, in technical terms, it's not an issue for sustainability. So it's more on the money and the organizational issues. And with the increase of income from the water kiosk, which is automatic, before you know, they have to go to the tap stands. And people always had excuses. Let's say the ram pump did not work for 1 day. They make that as an excuse, 30 days. They pay for whiskey like 2 times more than for 1 day than they have to pay for a 1 month water, but they find their excuses. So now they have to throw in the coin, and nobody complains about it, because for a cigarette you have 7 containers of water, so it's nothing per day if you look at it. So this money now is also taking care of the allowances of the technicians, also the one who collects the money as well. It depends on the association how they arrange that. And then, that is used for also spare parts. And like in the water summits, they brought even money to buy some spare parts from our office, for example. So yeah, that's their, they can't go to a mayor or to a village head or something. It's really the idea that they maintain it. They don't have the money for the infrastructure. That's understood as poorest of the poor. We also don't pay for infrastructure directly. But the point is that they really maintain the system, and they are capable. We have seen many installations have been in operation for many years. Yeah, and about the water quality. Basically, the water filter, it has a ceramic filter with silver colloid inside. It is indeed, like you said, like it's tested. The source was mostly not protected. We built a structure around the spring, and we tested also after the water filter and after the water kiosk. We do that in cooperation with the municipalities, with the local government units. Yeah.
Really, really helpful clarification. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. And to go next, who wants to go next? Jean-Louis?
Yeah, I had a question. So in economics, I think this is still done, especially in agricultural economics. There's a whole literature on optimal pricing of water. So especially for irrigation systems, depending upon the distance, et cetera. So I assume that there's an issue here. So how did you approach because different elevations, different locales, the difficulty of the installation. So how did you approach the pricing and sort of the optimality of the pricing in different villages?
You mean of the system or?
No, of the kiosk.
Price per liter?
Price per liter.
Oh, that's you mean for the kiosk?
Yeah.
That's constant. That's for drinking water. That's not for agriculture. So the kiosks are really for the drinking
and for
water
agriculture.
systems.
How do you have for agriculture?
It's mostly an existing association. The ones we organize really and register are for the drinking water. Mostly we are coupled because there are no individual farmers who can like afford or know how to get a loan, for example, for a system. So these are mostly already existing associations, and they can make it a committee, and it's totally up to them how they
It's just that the pricing of irrigation water can be one of the main determinants of the of agricultural productivity. It's the pricing, not just availability, the pricing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just
who sets the price, basically, right?
Yeah.
Who sets the price? And
They set the association has a system that.
But I'm just saying it might be worthwhile thinking of how, in the context of the intervention. Sorry, I'm supposed to just ask questions. I'm making suggestions.
Yes, right. Okay.
But that it might be worth thinking about how you could improve the pricing mechanisms that these farmers have.
Yeah.
It might be something worth thinking of. The other thing is, it was very nice to see your before and after pictures. Now all you need is a control group, okay, of villages at the same period with the same indicators, and you've got what's known as difference in differences.
Yeah.
Okay, so just, I mean, it isn't, you don't have to do that right away. It's just that in terms of then selling your idea, then you'll be able to sell it even better.
Actually, we won a prize in the Philippines on social innovation on health, and there was a research grant, and we were not able to touch it up till now because this was the idea, diff in diff. Because you don't find, because you have also to be near, because otherwise you get the micro differences. And so it's very hard to find one, you have nearly the same drop. You have this nearly the same number of households. It's in the ramp of so many variations. So up till now, we were not able to find two really close to each other we could compare. But we had that
Yeah. But find
that
it,
idea in
fi-
mind because that would,
find them.
Yeah.
Find them because you'll be able to sell the idea much
yeah,
better.
that's the most perfect research you can do, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
But that was also the first time that we get somebody to look at some research because we had difficulties in backing it up with scientific data. We know all this and it's true, and we're not telling stories, but now with this impact data also.
You have to measure it. If you don't measure it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, right.
We just have 2 minutes for last question from
yeah,
Tay.
very quick question, and it has to be a quick answer too. My question is that you already gathered some experience, and especially doing that, and you also gathered some lessons out of it. So, if this 50K is given to you, what differently, what things you would think differently, and taking the lessons from the past and some of the, you need to take the corrective measures. Now, do you think there are some things you would do a bit differently than what you did in the past?
Maybe not different because that's why it evolved over time, but we add things to it. So slowly there are new things which, for example, we need to introduce this to local government and to even national government. We have 3 government agencies which did ramp pumps. It's the Department of Science, Agriculture, and Department of Social Welfare. But we really want to help this technology institutionalized because there are really thousands over the world. There are hundreds of thousands who are in need of ramp pumps, and there are sources nearby. So that's one. We have there are 85 provinces in the Philippines, and there are 42 where we have no presence yet. So what we want to do is to push our pumps to those provinces, and also if we get to 50,000, we will have 2 new systems.
But your technology is based on the free flow of water.
Yeah.
No, it can't be used in any other different hydrologic system.
Right.
Region.
Yeah, and it's not a solution for everything.
yeah.
So you need the energy. You can't, if you suck water, you need energy. But it can be springs, streams, or rivers. So there are a lot. But what we want to do is we organize. After the 2 installations, we bring all the stakeholders together in a workshop and introduce the technology so that it get more popular in institution and hopefully also more institutionalized.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're good. Thank you. Now we can move to the second presentation. So for AquaFresh, we have Matthias Charles Jabe, who's going to present the project titled Solar Powered Refrigerated Storage to Reduce Food Loss and Waste. Please welcome him. We have 15 minutes.
Okay. Hello.
Can you try the mics? Ready? Floor is yours.
Hello. Hi. What if I told you the world might not be able to feed up to 10 billion people by 2050? My name is Matthias Charles Jabe. I'm the co-founder and CEO at AquaFresh. Everyone ate vegetable this week. Who didn't eat vegetables? Show by hand. There's no one. But then you'll be surprised to know that you might not be able to get vegetables to eat on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to present a solution we have created that is helping smallholder farmers reduce food loss and waste. That has already even helped save over 900 tons of food, and then helping farmers build stronger resilience in local communities. Let me take you to Akumadan community in the eastern part of Ghana. This community is known as one of Ghana's major tomato farming communities. However, these farmers are losing nearly $1 million every year due to post-harvest losses. I went to this community during my volunteer trip as an undergraduate student in 2018. During my visit, I saw the devastating effects of climate change in this community, where crops were not being produced at the right times and rains were not coming down as and when it was supposed to come. I met Auntie Mary, a 56-year-old woman. She took us around her farm during my volunteer trips, pointing out rotten tomatoes and sadly sharing how hard she had worked, only to lose about a third of all her crops. Her story inspired me, and that was how I started my journey as a food systems hero. Ladies and gentlemen, this issue of post-harvest losses is something that is really affecting local communities. I asked why she lost her crops, and she mentioned 3 things. Her buyers couldn't come on time, she doesn't have a place to store the crops, and then she doesn't have access to markets because most of these farmers produce these crops at the same time. As you can see, this is very devastating, and this is a state of many farming communities, not just in this community, but across Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of post-harvest losses is global. According to the UN FAO, about a third of all food produced every year is lost before even getting to market. And when you come to sub-Saharan Africa, smallholder farmers are losing up to 40% of all their harvest before getting to consumers. This is affecting livelihoods of farmers and affecting local communities as well. And when it comes to climate, it is having diverse effects as it contributes up to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Looking at our theme of ensuring climate resilience, our solution is a step in the right direction. When food is being ended up in the landfill, it emits harmful gases such as methane. This is contributing to climate change, and our solution is helping change this narrative. We are providing a holistic approach to solving this issue by, first of all, offering a storage preservation solution. We designed this off-grid solution that is helping smallholder farmers extend the shelf life of their perishable crops. In addition to that, we acknowledge the fact that smallholder farmers need to get access to training and capacity building on post-harvest management and climate-smart agriculture. So we offer them with access to training to help them improve their farming practices and their yield as well. Finally, we also help smallholder farmers get access to market to help them boost the local economy and sell crops at competitive prices. Now, our innovation here is a solar-powered cold storage preservation technology that is extending shelf life of perishable crops from the usual 5-day period to 21 days. I'm very proud to let you know that this solution is helping farmers extend shelf life over 3 times longer than their normal temperatures in ambient environments. Farmers bring their fresh produce at our storage center. We sort it out, transfer it into our reusable plastic crates, and then store the produce while the farmers wait for buyers. That is how we run our storage center in the local communities. Now, what makes our solution unique is the fact that we are running this solution 100% off-grid. Cold chain solutions has been there over the years, but then cold chain is very expensive and inaccessible to many smallholder farmers. You'll be surprised to know that in sub-Saharan Africa, smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, there are over 600 million people who do not have access to electricity. So just imagine deploying solutions like this. It's not possible. So our solution is very unique in the sense that it runs 100% off-grid, and there's a backup battery, lithium batteries, that is able to store energy for up to 22 hours. We are also offering a decentralized solution and a cost-effective model. We understand smallholder farmers cannot afford to purchase this technology at high upfront cost, neither do they have expertise in managing it. So what we do is we offer a pay-as-you-go model where smallholder farmers get to rent out storage spaces and then get to use this technology as and when they need it. And whilst they store, we also provide them with access to market. Finally, our solution is connected to Internet of Things, helping us to be able to keep track of the operations of these mobile units remotely. We understand that people might argue and say, what if there are no internet connectivity? This runs on just a little bandwidth of data, allowing us to just see the temperatures under which the crops are being stored. And whenever there's an issue, it quickly sends us an alert that the technology has probably gone off or it's not running under that temperature. This solution is very innovative and has been a game changer for us since we started. Ladies and gentlemen, to date, we have been able to preserve over 900 tons of fresh crops in our pilot community. Over 200 farmers have directly been engaged. And then one interesting thing you should know is that we've helped these 200 farmers secure their income by over 70%. Let me explain how. When these farmers store their fresh produce in our storage units, we help them get access to market. So once the farmers bring it in there, their market is assured in the sense that they are able to now sell crops at competitive prices. In these local communities, when there's bumper harvest, farmers end up getting cheated because they do not get the bargaining power. But with solutions like these, farmers are now having bargaining power to sell crops at competitive prices. When we started our solution, we acknowledged the fact that smallholder farmers needed capacity building. At some point, smallholder farmers bring fresh produce, which are not of the highest of quality. Most of them also comes under conditions that are not supposed to be stored. So we realized that by introducing capacity building for them, it's going to help increase their productivity and produce crops that are helping crops that will be best fit for storage and for the market as well. So we deployed our training program, which is offering capacity building for smallholder farmers on climate smart agriculture, post-harvest management, and digital skills and tools. This solution is being offered in person. We are delivering the training in person models, and then we are also doing it via a digital mobile device. Farmers get access to our training programs online as well, using this tool. So what we do is, after organizing the in-person trainings in local communities, the agricultural extension officers are given mobile devices, which has our content on these devices in the local language. So they go to these further communities deprived, and then they are able to play this content remotely without any form of internet. To date, our farmer training programs have been able to impact over 2,000 smallholder farmers in 20 communities, and over 34% of them are women farmers. We are asking for support from GDN. This will help us revolutionize what we started by developing a mobile version of this cooling technology I just presented. So as you can see there, this cooling solution will now be in a mobile form running 100% off-grid. This is going to be a game changer because it will not just benefit one community, but it's going to benefit multiple communities looking at its mobility nature. Because this solution now can move to different communities during off seasons for other crops. So for instance, if one community is not producing tomato and another community produces mangoes, all we have to do is just to pull this to another community to make more impact. So with your support, this will be very possible in the coming year. We are also looking for support for community engagement, where we are going to train more young people and local communities on how to set up this technology and helping improve the local community as well. And then finally, to support our farmer training programs, which have seen great results, and we've had the international trade centers showed interest and support us to set up, as well as the Kofi Annan Foundation giving us support to set up that small pilot in delivering it remotely and without any form of internet. So with your support, it's going to help us really scale this beyond what we've done in our pilot community. To date, we have been able to, so with your support, in the next 12 months, we'll be able to save crops, post-harvest losses by 30%, 2,000 farmers will be trained, 40% increase in the income of farmers, and then 500 tons of CO2 emissions will be reduced. This will lead to improved food security, ensure economic resilience, and then boosting the local economy, addressing these SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a youth-led team, very passionate about social impact, and have worked on different projects in local communities right from high school. And we are very passionate about solving this problem, looking at our experiences. And we've also built stronger partnerships in local communities. And everything we do with partnership with local communities and other organizations that already exist in Ghana. And our organization has also conducted an ENS with the World Bank consultants on a new project we were working on earlier this year. Ladies and gentlemen, in my beginning statement, I mentioned that the world is likely not to be able to feed up to 10 billion people by 2050. Now, having presented this solution, I'm confident that with your support, this issue of not being able to feed a growing population will be possible, might not be possible. So we invite you to join us on our mission to strengthening food systems, ensuring climate resilience in local communities, and boosting the economy for smallholder farmers in marginalized communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move to questions. We have 10 minutes. So, Julie, would you like to start again? You have a question ready?
Yes, I thank you. I mean, I do have a question, but I wonder whether do we have a panelist who wasn't able to ask a question last time, or did everyone?
No, I think you can go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Thank you. Just thank you for the presentation. Really fantastic work. I wanted to get a bit more clarity on how the beneficiary, how the target communities that would be scaled up to would be selected. So what would be, you know, this selection criteria for which communities you'll target, you know, how that would be decided, and also if in the process whether you need to purchase any land, or how does that kind of getting the land where you put that facility, how does that work? Thank you.
That is an amazing question. So before we select a community, what we do is we conduct community needs assessments. And this problem of post-harvest losses is something that exists and not just affecting one community. It affects several communities beyond Ghana and around the developing countries. So we already have data on communities that are facing the issue of post-harvest losses and are specifically producing horticultural crops, because that is what we store. So once we know these communities, what we do is we go into the communities and conduct needs assessment. So what we do is once we get in there, we first of all contact the local community leaders, including the local Ministry of Food and Agriculture. And we've been working with them in our pilot community from the onset. This really helps us gather enough data about the problem facing the farmers in the community, the periods they harvest the fresh produce, and then the amount of losses they incur on a farmer on a seasonal basis. This really gives us enough information on how to know whether or not our solution will be relevant at that time. There were communities we surveyed in the past and realized that some of them were not having they were not having a lot of challenges when it comes to post-harvest losses. And mostly when the crops are harvested, people come to pick it up. So our solution might not really be relevant as at the time. But in this pilot community, after my volunteer trip in 2018, we contacted the chief, and even the land that we have access to now, we got it at a very subsidized cost with support from the chief. And what we also do is with support from the local community, we also have access to employ the people from the community to manage it. So there's that kind of local management and ownership in terms of the proceeds that comes out of the storage fees the farmers pay for to store the crops. So that is how we go about our selection criteria, and in terms of managing it as well. In terms of scaling, what we do is after the pilot, we write to the local Ministry of Food and Agriculture and other organizations that are present to help us scale the solution. So as we speak now, our pilot community, which the solution I just showed you, has gained a lot of traction, and we've even received support for us to set up a smaller version of it close to what we have done so far. And I believe that with your support, you'll be able to reach more communities in the coming months. Thank you.
Great. Salim, do you want to go next?
Thank you. Very, very interesting. I understand because of your technological innovation, you focus on the post-harvesting. But the food loss can also be linked to the quality of the crops being produced. That means, do you have any kind of intervention or, any ideas on how do you really also provide support for the pre-harvest, and or the whole value chain or the system?
Yes. Thank you. That's a good question. And that connects back to why we introduced the farmer training program. And because I mentioned earlier that when we started storing, initially we thought the farmers just needed a place to store the produce. But then we realized some of them were coming with crops that were not of high quality, and we had to reject those crops. So that was what really gave us enough confidence that by introducing farmer training programs in these communities, they will not only be able to produce high quality crops, but then it will also help them prevent post-harvest losses on that scale. So we also provide them with that training, especially with the tool that we just produced. It's an offline training tool where farmers are being trained on post-harvest management, how to produce high quality crops, and climate smart agriculture. So in local communities, the extension officers have access to our tool, and then they use it to train farmers on how to produce crops on a high quality basis, helping them reduce losses drastically, and then bringing it to us. We're able to know that, okay, farmers are now coming with high quality crops, and we're able to store it in our storage facility. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, quick question. So suppose that you have your cold storage facility installed in a community. And now suppose that the government comes in, puts in a track, a road, which would allow farmers to get their crops really fast, and cell phone services installed, so they can use their cell phones to know what the prices are, and they're so then what happens to your facility when that happens? Is it still relevant, or is it only relevant in sort of arduous situations where the farmers don't have access to pricing information, et cetera?
Great. So even when that's a very good question. So post-harvest losses do not even just happen at the farming communities only. What we are looking at is, that's why we even want your support to develop mobile versions of this. So even if you don't necessarily have to get a fixed land space to put it there, because it's mobile, it's able to easily move. And we are even looking at putting these mobile units at marketplaces as well, because there are some farmers who go to the marketplaces to sell their fresh produce. And you'll be surprised to see that even at the market clusters, most of these perishable crops, when they are not able to be sold that day, they perish. So in terms of governments even coming up with solutions for the farming communities and everything looks perfect, the solution is still very, very relevant in ensuring improved food security in not just even the farming communities, but then marketplaces where post-harvest losses are also very, very high. So this solution is something that we believe is a game changer in ensuring improved food security and reducing food waste. Thank you.
Great. Any questions from the audience? Anyone? No? Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Great. So let's move to the third and last presentation. Last but not least, we have Emmanuel Irania, who's coming here on behalf of the Moyo District Farmers Association of Uganda to present a project titled Nature-Based Climate. Emmanuel?
It's not easy. Question.
Yes. I think we need to put the mic on. If you can just get your mic. Great. PowerPoint is up. Yeah, 15 minutes. Thank you. Floor is yours.
So how do you scroll from down? Okay.
This one, this word. Yeah.
Okay. Right. The jury, ladies and gentlemen, allow me introduce you to my friend who is a farmer in the names of Mr. Kuni John. who is a cattle keeper in Moyo, in northern Uganda, who right now is next to his home doing something on his land. Say what next? Mr. Okone, as being a farmer, he had challenge of accessing pasture for his cattle. He had to walk over 20 kilometers to get pasture. But he had to do some magic. And this is what that land that you saw before has become. Now he's grazing next to his homestead. No more hurdles of walking long distances for pasture. What a relief to him. But the big question is, what did he do to realize that? Think about it. Also look at those two pictures, which are contrasting significantly. Before and after. 3 years back, you see what is on the left, and now you see what is on the right. What has been the magic? What a wonder. But the question is, what has happened? Do you know it? Here it is. It is nothing else but farmer-managed natural regeneration, which we abbreviate as FMNR. It's nothing but simply a technique of restoration of forest land which is degraded in a manner which is systematic, as you can see in this picture. This tree stump was made to regenerate, was made to regrow. And you can see the regrowth. And that is what Mr. Hunjon did. And that's what also what the community did to the hills, which were degraded. We shall delve more into this as we go into the gist of the matter. I am Iranga Emmanuel, the coordinator from Moyo District Farmers Association, presenting the topic, nature-based climate adaptation solutions. Moyo and Obongi districts, which are the areas for the project, are in Uganda, in the northern part of Uganda, as you can see by the arrow. And also, if you are critical, you see the border South Sudan, and that explains the context of refugees, which means it is easy for them to cross into Uganda whenever they are in conflict. And also, it's important to note that Moyo and Obongi, the economy is basically agrarian. Much as they have challenge of climate change, primarily drought and flood, because they are along River Nile. Again, it is important to note that these two districts host refugees from South Sudan who have been there for the last 10 years. And if you look at the number critically, the refugees are over 130,000, which is more than half of the local population. Imagine what a strain it can have on the ecosystem. And also, we have observed and recorded very high level of degradation, loss of forest cover, estimated at about 40 hectares of land every year. Imagine losing 40 football fields of forest cover annually. What a tragedy. Therefore, it's not a wonder that there is high poverty level and food insecurity in the two districts. And it is even worse among the refugees. The estimate is more than 40% poverty and also food insecurity. So what problem are we addressing? The first problem is the very low agricultural productivity because of shocks of climate change, primarily drought, as evident in the picture. That is a maize field. Others call it corn. You can see the devastation of drought. Also, there is increased environmental degradation, as earlier on seen on the hills. And this has been worsened by the influx of the refugees, who are more than half of the local population, straining further the local ecosystem. And also, the level of vulnerability to climate shocks has increasingly gone higher because our livelihood options are sensitive to climate change, primarily drought and flood. And it is also worth noting that there is a high prevalence of gender inequality and gender-based violence among the refugees and the host communities. So what is the solution? What is the magic bullet that can reverse this unwanted situation? It is nothing else but farmer-managed natural generation, which we have earlier on had a glimpse of it in the preamble. This technique is a very systematic way of restoring degraded forest cover. Using simple and basic techniques, simple tools. You only need a panga and sometimes an axe, and at worst, you may need a pruning saw so that the cuttings or the pruning, you do it in a way that is professional to allow the regrowth or the regeneration of the tree stump or the root or even the wildlings. These are trees which grow by themselves in the ecosystem. They're called wildlings, the small ones. So this technique is unique in a manner that the regeneration, the restoration is organized. It has got a purpose. And there are three systems which are under it. The first one is what we call the rangeland system that we saw earlier on, done by the cattle keeper, whereby you do it in a manner that can give pasture for your animals, as seen in the grazing of the animals. Then the second system is the food system or the farm system, whereby you do it in a manner that can allow crop growing, like vegetables and field crops. And that system is the wood system, whereby you grow it to get timber at a future date. So that is how beautiful it is, meaning that it brings the intersection between conservation and economic empowerment. Because as you do conservation, you get food. As you do conservation, you get money from your cattle, from your crops, even from the apiary that you put in the system. And somebody might wonder, what about the conventional or the common practice of distributing seedlings from nurseries to farmers to plant, to reforest or to afforest? This has been done for so many years, and it has been very challenging by both government and NGOs, as well as the private sector, because of very low survival rate of hardly 30%. Because these young seedlings when they reach the period of drought, which is about 4 months from December to April, they cannot resist the drought and they end up dying. So they don't see their first birthday. Also, in the dry season, there are stray animals, mostly goats, who roam around because there is no pasture for them. So anything green they eat, including the trees. And also we have termites. During the dry season, they are looking for water. So anything succulent, which has water, is eaten. So you find that you can plant thousands of seedlings, but you may have nothing in 2 or 3 years. That is why we are promoting the farmer-managed natural regeneration technique, which has proven sustainable. And to make it more sustainable and cost-effective, we are mainstreaming 3 pillars into the FMNR, which are these. The first pillar is what we call climate resilient farming. Here, what we do is to make farmers cognizant of the fact that they are doing farming in a hostile environment, a farming which is threatened by climate change, so that as they farm, they see how to counter-react climate change. And this is the result. You can see in the middle, one of our field staff, who is a lady, teaching the farmers how to farm during the dry period. And this is the result of the tomatoes. It has gone off. Okay. And the second one is mainstreaming gender into FMNR, because women are key in production. They do much of the work, but they do not get the benefits. They're left out in decision making. They don't have control over resources. So we want efficient engagement of women, as earlier on said by the president, so that the household works as a unit of production and they become resilient as a unit. And there are tools that we use for it. And this tool is what we call the GIRLS methodology, which stands for Gender Action Learning Systems, whereby the group or the household as a unit does joint planning. And that tool that you see there is the one which we call Vision Journey, whereby those people who are in the household are drawing where they want to go, how they want to go. Those are the steps in the middle, and even the threats that they may face and how they're going to counteract it, and opportunities for them to harness to achieve their objectives. Then also the element of social cohesion is important because of the refugees. The impact of the project that we have done. You can see there's improvement in livelihoods, as Alan said. Also, there is the improvement in the land that has been restored, adoption of energy options has been enhanced, gender equality has been improved, and even the capacity of organization has gone up. So why are we asking for support from GDN? Those are the cores. The first one is we want to increase the number of people we're going to train on nature-based solutions so that more farmers are resilient, and we are going to train over 1,000 farmers. Also, we're going to increase the land area under FMNR, and we intend to do 120 acres under that. And we're going to integrate FMNR practices with income-generating activities so that it is more sustainable. Conservation is rewarding to the farmers, and train more farmers on the GIRLS methodology so that gender issues are addressed in nature conservation, in resilience designing. And finally, we have got existing community conservation action plans, which have been developed by the local governments. So we intend to support some of the activities which are in line with the conservation, with the support from GDN. What we want to see is replicas of the first farmer, that is Mr. Okune John. Thousands of them in Moyo and even beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We can to the questions. Who would like to start? You have a question, please?
Yeah, so what I'd like to understand is why haven't government extension, both from agriculture and forestry, why has there been reticence to introduce this up until now? So what's the constraint?
Thank you. It's difficult for me to speak on behalf of the government on why they have not introduced it, but likely it could be because they have not been exposed to it. They are still thinking about the conventional way of doing deforestation through raising seedlings and distributing to the farmers to plant and what they grow. But now, since we have begun this, and also we have been engaging in them to do monitoring, they are seeing the sustainability of this method. So it is our strong belief that if we advocate for this more, over time, they are also going to adopt it. There seems to be knowledge and skill gap in this. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Salim?
Yeah, very interesting. It seems that you will be dealing with very diverse stakeholders, especially I can see two. One is the local host and then the refugees. And then there are, I haven't seen in your presentation, or if you can elaborate a little bit on that, there are definitely tensions and also there are issues related to coordination between the host and the refugees. With this specific case, how do you like to solve this, if there are some coordination issues?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, it was because of time factor. Otherwise, there was a slide which talks about a cohesion and integrating and the inclusive development, whereby we integrate the refugees with the local communities. So what we have done is to have mixed groups, especially where the refugees are and the host communities are close to them. So in these groups, they are trained together, they work together, so that issues of access to land by the refugees is addressed, okay? As they become a unit in their group, it is easier for them to really even negotiate for land from the host population. And also it is easier for them to settle their differences in the group. So you find it makes the coexistence peaceful and what reasonable for them, which is rewarding to both the refugees and the host communities. So that's the approach we are using by making them work together. Thank you.
Julie, do you have a question?
Yeah, yes. Thank you very much for the presentation. My question has to do with the sustainability. I don't know to what extent you've had the opportunity to see after you have the intervention and the training, to what over what time period beneficiaries are still applying the methods that were taught. I don't know. It may be that you haven't had enough time since, providing the support to see whether people carry on what they were trained, or if there's anything that kind of encourages that after the intervention's over. Thank you.
Can you repeat that question again?
Yes, it's about how to ensure that the training and the methods that have been taught, that people will continue to apply them after the training is over. Have you seen that people continue to adopt these farming practices even once the support is not directly supporting them.
Okay.
Do you have any evidence or any strategies on how to make sure that that continues after you're done with the intervention? Thank you.
I thank you very much for the question. Basically, it's asking for sustainability. If you look at FMNR, it is community-led or farmer-led. The land which is under restoration belongs to the farmer. Meaning the benefits that accrue on that land also belongs to the farmer, making it very sustainable, because as the farmer does conservation, the farmer also gets economic benefit. The farmer gets food benefit. Like if he also integrates the FMNR with apiary, that is beekeeping, meaning he or she will be able to get honey, which is food, and also sell this honey, and he gets what? He gets money from it. And also, if there is a hive or there are hives in a forest system, this farmer will make sure that he has fire lines, that no fire will touch that ecosystem, making even it more sustainable. So this FMNR only needs introduction. Your job is only to show them the way, but they do the work because the benefits are enormous, and that has been proven to be true. Thank you.
Any question from the audience? Well, yes. Okay, I'll get you a mic.
How long did it take reforestation? How long did it take for the reforestation practice? You know,
Okay.
The areas from brown to green. How long did it take?
How long does it take, just for the people who are online, how long, the question is, how long does it take to see results, basically, like you showed us in the picture?
Where did you get the water from when you have, seedlings?
Thank you very much. Here there are two things. You see, for FMNR, the regrowth, okay, or the regeneration is from an existing tree stump, meaning that that stump has an established root system which absorbs water and which absorbs nutrients. So if this is the tree and you cut it and make it sprout, meaning that that sprout has adequate food and water from that established system. Actually, it's getting too much because that system was built for the whole tree, but now maybe it has been removed. So that is why water or stress of moisture cannot affect it, because it sprouts on an existing stock, either a stem or a root. Then the number of years it takes. All of us are farmers. So the rate of growth, okay, is natural. So if you get it young, meaning it's about 2 years to 3 years. So as time goes, it also matures. Then another unique thing is you do it with an objective. What do you want to achieve out of it? Do you want it for a rangeland? Do you want it for farming as a farmland? Do you want it for timber? So this shapes your technique of what doing the pruning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think we are closing. I think we are out of time, sorry. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much.
What happens next? The jury will now meet right now in a separate room. We'll discuss everybody's evaluations. We'll decide how many projects will be awarded and what prize goes to whom. So good luck. Again, congratulations to all the finalists for making it to this stage, and good luck Yeah, the results will be announced tomorrow at the closing ceremony. Thank you. Thank you to the jury members. Julie, we'll reconnect just in 10 minutes. Okay? Thank you.